Alrighty, ladies and gentlemen, it's your favorite warlock here, practicing necromancer. And tonight I want to talk to you about some things that I'm undergoing. Okay. As you um, know by my last few videos between here and the Dark Sorcery channel, owned and operated by Alfredo Martinez, a good friend of mine, um, I've been revealing some interesting facts, tools within sorcery. But I've also brought up a lot of good points that surround sorcery, black magic, white magic, magic being magic. But also, over the last couple of years, I've delved into divination on a wide scale, astrology on a major platform. Okay. But I've also been removing myself from platforms that really aren't benefiting me anymore and things that I'm bored with, such as Facebook, Instagram, Timber. Okay. But I did get on Odyssey and created a link and linked it to my YouTube channel. But I've been doing quite a few interviews lately. I did one with both Waylon and Joseph Doherty. I've done a couple book reviews with Alfredo Martinez. And on top of that, I did one with Divas, E.A. Quetting, and a few others that joined in on that conversation. So lately I've been doing a lot of research and I've really been doing a lot of research specifically into dark astronomy, such as the dark side of the zodiacs, the dark side of the planetary figures, the gateways, and most importantly, the demerge. Not just through cartomancy, pyromancy, hydromancy, hemomancy practices, and most importantly, black scrying there. Okay. I've been working with a lot of different tools through divination, not just through evocation. So, first of all, let me kind of clarify what an evocator is for those of you who do not know. The very definition of evocator is somebody who conjures spirits, somebody who works with various different types of spirits. This includes the jinn, the orisha, the loa, the demonic, fallen angels, and such. Okay, this is what a an evocator is. Now, with that said, the tools that we have as sorcerers, as warlocks and witches, as necromancers, even those of us who choose to separate ourselves from the world and practice solely working with beings from other realms, other dimensions, other planes of existence. Call it heaven, hell, purgatory, if that makes sense to you. You know, there's a lot of different classifications of realms and other planes of existence that, to be honest, most of us have barely even, if we're being honest with ourselves, have barely scratched the surface of. Okay. And this is what I've been doing. I've been really delving into meditation, specifically that avoid meditation, because I want to quiet my mind. I want to have control over my own mind, my own thoughts. But more so, I want to be able to hear what the spirits are saying, what they're trying to relay to us as practitioners. More so when we get into rituals and things like rituals or ceremonies. What is the purpose of them? How far can we go when summoning and petitioning these spirits? But most importantly, what is it that we're capable of doing? Things that we have limited ourselves because of the interaction with society and their limited beliefs. Okay. Not just the mainstream religious perspectives of good versus evil. This is limited thinking. So I was talking with a number of different people, like I said, and one of the topics that came up was junk DNA. Junk DNA, which takes up a small percentage, like I think it's like 10% of our overall DNA that we don't use. It just sits dormant. But what is it that it's capable of doing if you learn to activate it? And in the grimoire of E.A. Koetting's book, the Demonic Gatekeeper, Volume 1, known as the Pendium of Belial, he refers to it as the recombinant DNA, which is basically another phrase of transmutation or transfiguration of the soul in the body. In Grimoire traditions, this is a form of a blood pact, if you will. We call it the dark pact. Okay, it is perhaps one of the more extreme variations of the pacts because it's where you decide there's nothing left in the world for me. This is where I want to go. I want to spend all my time in the other worlds. I want to learn about the other worlds, the other spirits, and I want to get to know these beings. I want to become more than just human. I want to become better. Okay, it's about me, not you. It's about me. Okay, that type of thing. Think of in the Bible, chapter 6, verse 4, I believe it is, where it talks about the Nephilim, people of renowned knowledge. They were warriors. More so, think of the demigods in Greek mythology. Do you think that was just something they were born with? I mean, what about being called to arms, so to speak? We all know that you're called to answer the call when the nation calls for soldiers, right? Think World War II. How many people went to work at factories to create tanks, guns, and bombs for the soldiers? They're actually enlisted and were able to enlist to use. Think of all the scientists that just sit around twiddling their thumbs, thinking of more ways to fuck up the world. This is this is perhaps the most limited way of thinking, but it is also a thing that you can experiment with, and this is why. Take a virus for an example. One of the biggest ones today is RSV, COVID 19. Now, if you want to get into folklore, think of a bite from, say, a vampire or a lycanthrope. Okay, we all know what happens in the Hollywood produced films. Person turns into a werewolf. One becomes a werewolf if you're scratched or bitten, right? Or if you're bitten by a vampire, you become a vampire. That virus takes over and mutates your DNA. Now, does it transmute and transfigure your DNA, or is it tapping into that untapped junk DNA, creating more? You see, one of the many theories out there in that aspect is the if we look at, say, the Necromite icon by Donald Tyson, or some of those alien theorists, conspiracy theorists. Some of us are lizard people. Some of us can become lizard people, or maybe even if you want to go into Scottish or Irish folklore, you have the Sith or the Siddhi. Same type of being, just different wording. And I know what some of you are thinking. Oh my God, you just used the word Sith, right? So we're going into the Jedi, you know, the dark side of the Force. Woo! No, I'm not talking about them. So don't even bring in Obi-Wan Kenobi or Darth Sidious or whatever. The Sith are a subspecies of different people, different types of beings, such as the werecats, the were-dogs, and many, many more. They were known as the people of the mounds. Okay, same thing in Scottish, which was the Siddhi. If you go into the demigods, the Nephilims, normally it's a discretion between, like, say, a god and a human female. What do you think happens when a creator, a demonic creator, has takes over and possesses somebody, like, say, a male, and gets together with a woman? You end up with a Nephilim, right? Or in the old days, according to the biblical accounts, it was the watcher angels who saw the daughters of men and took them as wives. Okay? And what's interesting here is they produced giants of renowned strength, renowned knowledge, and wisdom. These beings became warriors. They were naturally born warriors. And they became respected right up until the jealous god decided, oh, they're fucking evil. Let's just flood the entire fucking earth for 40 days and 40 nights and kill off everything except for my chosen, meaning Noah and his family, and one of every kind of animal. So, if you think about it that way, or any other way, are you evolving into something new? You see, a necromancer is always studying death, always studying the otherworldly things. Witches and warlocks are always studying and carrying that knowledge and wisdom through their books, through their own minds. Early this morning, when I got home from work, I was laying here in the bed, and I was thinking about taking a nap, but my mind just could not stop racing. I could not stop thinking about it. I guess you could say I got excited over this because if you think about evolution, your own education is your evolution. You're breaking away from society. The smarter, the more intellectual you become, the further away from society that you become because you're shunned by society. You don't relate to the world anymore because nobody can relate to you. This creates fear and paranoia, right? And then you end up with things like race wars. You got wars over women, material, and land. One group thinks that they're superior than the other. But if you think about it, what is the enlightening process? It is you taking those steps through evocation. through divination. You're the one going into that chamber. You're the one going to that altar in the dead of night. You're the one casting those rites and those spells, calling forth these spirits to work with them. It is you, no one else. This is what separates you from everyone else. Now, I was reading, like I said, this the first demonic gatekeeper book, thanks to Divas, um, who turned me on to it. I started reading it, and I didn't realize I already had some of that book anyways. So I delved into it, and I've gotten quite a few things. I got an entire, well, let's just say at least 12 pages of notes today, just cliff notes that I've taken. The gates and the portals, the ways into other dimensions, realms such as Hades, the Elysian Fields, the heaven or hell, or even purgatory, if you will. Ancient Greeks believed that you can jump into the deepest pits of a pond and end up in Hades, or you can go into a rock formation, such as down in Brazil, handprint with a city of the gods. The Necromyicon is famous for depicting archways, gates, portals, different planes of existence, and different species, godly, if you will, such as Cthulhu, okay? He who dreams, okay? The dreamer. Now, what happens if he should awake? Everybody goes mad and insane, right? Or how about the Coco Daemon in Greek mythology, where the Coco Daemon is considered so baneful towards humans that they can't coincide with them. But what do we know about history? History is written by the victors. So why would you believe what's taught in history books? Why would you believe in what the world tells you? I don't know about you, but I'd rather listen to the demons. I would rather listen to the spirits that I work with. I would rather get in touch with my own lineage, my own blood, those who practiced witchcraft and sorcery in the past, because I can learn from them. I can work with, say, for an example, Belial, and learn how to overcome and resist things, become my own master. Not just be able to be granted the privilege and honor of having power over certain things, the titles of senatorship, for an example, or be given and allowed to be given through a petition a familiar spirit, like, say, a cat, a snake, a dog, okay, that becomes known as the witch's aid, okay? All of this stuff can be given to you by Belial. You want to learn how to become enlightened, go with a Maimon or that of Lucifer. Lucifer was known as the most gorgeous angel in the heavens, okay? In folklore and angelology, going as far back as, say, for an example, Hebrew and Jewish customs, he was known as the bearer of light, the day star, okay? Venus in Roman times, okay? In ancient Greek, he's known as the day star, the morning star, if you will, in Latin, okay? But let's think about this. If he is the morning star, then that would make him what? A being of immense power? A planet? How about the very embodiment of a sun god, such as Apollo, Inti? How about Ra, just to name a few, or even Belobog for that matter? All of these are sun gods, right? Even Saroth, being the keeper of black magic, keeper of the sorceries, was a sun god. Huh. Interesting how that works, right? But yet, in Grimoiric traditions, he is known as the Emperor. Interesting how that goes, right? Baal being the Lord, the Master, he who is the majesty of the kingdom of the Chaldeans and Canaanites. How about Satan being the adversary and the accuser, the tempter, the father of witches and warlocks, going as far back as the Zohar, the Talmud, the Jewish Haggadah? About the poetical texts, the Munich manuscripts, Ha Satan, Hebrew, El Shaitan, Islamic, Sathan, Sathan, Munich manuscripts, meaning opposer. The poetical text shows in the 16th, 17th century of where he took over for Beelzebub, 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 Lord of Flies, the Dark One, the Prince of Devils. And it's ironic that even with Lucifer's Raphael, the infernal scribe, the pact maker, there are several beings noted throughout history that creates pacts, including Mephistopheles. Huh. But the very image of the city of the gods go hand in hand with these beings. Down in Brazil, there is a rock face that has the entire depiction of a city of the gods, and it is said that there's a handprint right there that you can that will open up a portal or the gateway, the arch, if you the gates of the Necromicon specifically by Simon. We see the gate of Leviathan, which became known in Grimoiric traditions, Dante's Infernal, with his jaws open wide, and hell is inside of him. He is the gateway into the underworld. Dante's Infernal really goes as far as depicting each level of hell being worse, whereas in ancient times, such as in Hades, Sumar, even, not just Greek, Babylonia, even, you have Inanna, Ishtar, there, even Astarte, Persephone, Proserpine, whose descent is more about purity, the state of purity, ridding yourself of the impurities, standing completely pure at the very bottoms of hell in front of the god of the underworld. And it is said that certain beings, such as Anubis, held the human heart in the gold and wager iniquity, just like Osiris would do. Amazing how that is, right? To show if you are going to a celestial realm or to remain as members of the damned. So, how is E.A. Koetting's books different from all these types? A lot of them have a lot of detail in it that really does not make any sense. But they also tell a story of a sorcerer's journey. Could it be insanity? Could it be figment of your imagination? Or did it really transpire? Interesting, huh? Now you think about what I just named off at the beginning of this, the very definition of an evocator. See, a lot of people right now, they hate E.A. Wedding. They hate his works, they hate Bulk. I've got nothing but respect for him. But like I said, I don't practice his ways. Until recently, I was talking with a couple of people and they put forth a challenge. The Aries in me, the first of the zodiac, the pride, the warrior. I love a good challenge. So I took the challenge. So starting January 1st, I'm going to be working with just four of the gatekeepers for the entire year of 2023. Belial, Lucifer slash Amenmun, Azazel, and Abaddon. Just those four for 2023. And then in 2024, I will do the next four and finally wrap it up in 2025 at the end of March 2025. So for the next couple, 2.25 years, I'm just going to work with the gatekeeper pantheon and I'm going to see where it takes me. Okay. Now, like I said, I'm not a big fan of Bald, but I've got respect for the practitioners. That's it. So I've really been delving into a lot of different areas preparing for January 1st. And like I said, and I'm going to go right into this. As you can see, this is just the black zodiac, the zodiac signs, the planetary signs, the zodiac and possession demons, meditation tips, the various different spirits, such as Lucifer, Beelzebub, Astaroth, Syriac, Frymoth, what they reside over, the Dictionary Infernal, the Grimoire Pope Honorius, the Grimorium Vernum, Secrets of Solomon, the probably going to butcher this, the Frucicery, which is a book of necromancy. I went into the seven princes, the crowned princes of the air, such as Azielis, Arielis, Marbulus, Mephistopheles, Barbulus, Azaebelis, and Quielus. Went down into each one and what they can do and represent. I went into the elements of the zodiacs. And finally, today, this is what I did just from the book of Belial. Okay? Just taking notes, going through cross-referencing everything that is going to be taking place because in this book alone, and let me show you, in this book alone, okay, it talks about planetary, such as the sphere of Goliath, for an example, which happens to be a galaxy, okay, a solar system. I'm not sure if it's a solar system or a galaxy, but it's actually pretty good. You can actually look it up on YouTube and on Google, and it really is two different systems, if you will. colliding, almost like a black hole is sucking them both together. Very, very intriguing from an astronomy perspective. More so, more so. This book is talking about demonolatry, and it's talking about not just the separation and resistance of between the infernal empire and that of, say, the celestial empire, but becoming an offshoot, so to speak. And from what I've been doing the last 6 years as a practicing necromancer, one of the things that I've been working on is transfiguration of myself to be able to handle the Da'ath energies. Those of you who don't know what the Da'ath energies is, this is a decay that sets in for necromancers. Those who practice necromancy end up with certain pains, ills, and corrosions of the body, such as the joints, failure of the joints, the organs becoming damaged, if you will, the teeth, you know, corroding and decaying, certain things that make you ill. You become more acceptable to different ailments and stuff. Now, what's interesting is that back in the 15th century, vampiric practices was actually introduced. This is blood sorcery, bloodletting, um, drinking of blood, so to speak. But also, it also became known as hemomancy practices was introduced to stave off that decay. But this is more of a beginner level of understanding. If you actually delve further into necromancy, you're going to see a lot more details and a lot more things that play into account. So the definition of evocator n- fits more into the categorization of what a necromancer does, what a sorcerer and a blood mage, if you will, a magi does. Seeks out knowledge by any means necessary. They live such a solitary life that they've completely separated from the established norms of society. Okay. Even my now ex, my son's mother, she looked at me and said I'd be better off on my own than being in a relationship because of the fact that I spent so much time with my face shoved in books, learning and growing and spending a lot of time going to places like the graveyards, the forests, walking on the trails, doing rituals in abandoned buildings, going into my temple and spending so much time there, creating things, contemplating, meditating. This is the sacrifices that we do as sorcerers that the world doesn't realize. They don't have that understanding. So when I was reading down through um, the first 43 pages of this book, one of the things that came to light was the fact that it's about awakening, awakening the self, awakening those dormant junk DNA, if you will, within us, but also awakening the fact that we're not a part of the world. We are a part of that world. I mean, if you follow the JCI, the Judo Christian institutions, one of the things that they always tell their flock when they are performing their little ceremonies, if you will, is that we're not of the world. Like Jesus telling his apostles, we're not a part of the world. We're set apart from it. I did not come here to save the world, but to save the sinners, so to speak. Okay? Now, if we take it from that perspective, Belial basically tells Eric Coetting, Martin Lawrence, E.A. Coetting, whatever name you want to call him, Archaeolus, whatever. you know, it's more of the fact that he tells him that you are being called to arms. You are being awakened. You are not, you are born this way. Okay. If we're doing it from a satanic perspective, then you are not originally a part of the world. You were born into a world of rejection, to question everything and not take everything at face value. Now, if that's actually fact, because I look back in reflection over my own life and why ministers at churches hate my guts, because I dared to question, I dared to interrupt their courses and demanded explanations for the things that they were saying. I look back at why people reject me and hate me so much is because of the fact that I dare to question, because I dare to learn and delve into things that people don't want you to do. They claim it's evil. They claim it's of the devil. Do you even know what a devil is? Have you ever met one? Most likely not. Because if you have met a devil, then you would have respect for that being. You would not sit there and talk shit about a spirit. It would not be classified as a game to you. This is what a dabbler does. Okay, a dabbler goes from one system to another, religious and philosophical aspects. They just keep jumping, never satisfied, never getting delved into and immersed into a system. When I delve into a system, I spend a lot of time there. I delve in to necromancy. It's been 6 years. A year and a half into it, I decided this is the path that I want to follow, necromancy. Another year later, I dedicated myself as a necromancer. I dedicated my life to the path that I walk. And I really stated flat out, this is the path that I want to live my life by. And it has benefited me in a lot of different areas, from cars to a relationship, a son, to knowledge and positions that I would never have had outside of that. Yeah, I've gone through a lot of employment, but you know what? Look at all the knowledge that I've got from those jobs. The ability to see beyond the bullshit, the lies, to be able to be told something that coworkers don't want you knowing. Your entire world comes open to me, which is freaky as all hell, by the way. Just saying. But it is interesting to see. Ah, yeah, I shaved my goatee today, and it's bugging my nose. I think I missed a hair up in here somewhere. But anyways, my point is this: everything marked down below is what I've delved into just in the last few days, just in the last week, the last 2 weeks. On Yule, I'm planning to take my next step in my personal evolution, my own personal journey into necromancy. And starting January, I've got two spirits that I'm working with. Number one, Belial, because I was talking with Divas, and I told him point blank. I said, if I'm going to do this, number one, there are two aspects here. Number one, we all know the hype. We all know the hype of the nine demonic gatekeepers, especially from the Balg perspective. A lot of people think it's a load of horseshit. Those of us who deal with demons on a daily basis and choose to work with spirits and the demerge, we know otherwise. But here it is. Not all systems are true. Okay? Which is why it's taken me a long time to achieve the gnosis that I've gained over the years. It's been long and perilous. But on the other hand, to experiment with this one tome, or at least this one compendium of nine beings, by the end of it, every so often, I said, why don't we sit down and discuss how the journey is going so far? Let's see what has been discovered. Let's see what's been learned. But more so by the end of it, at 2.25 years, we'll see if Balg is real or fake. You know what I'm saying? Because, like I said in another video, Connor Kendall's book and Dante Abiel's book is too similar. The wording and the tools are way too similar, like it's been copied and reworded. But let's see where this goes. So I'm going to be doing this for those two reasons. One, to quell your fears, and two, to either reaffirm that Bog's works are actually real and prove to you that, yeah, this is what's going on. This is what the changes that I've seen. This is what I've experienced firsthand. So you're getting a real account from a real practitioner, one who takes their time, one who delves in 666%, as my now deceased brother, John Saunders, so colorfully loved to say in his videos, 666%. So when we think about this, now you're having two perspectives from somebody who actually is delving into it firsthand. So it's going to be an interesting experimentation, but at the same time, kind of excited to see where it goes. What is it I'm going to experience? What is it I'm going to see? Because I'm not doing this as a dabbler. I'm doing this as a serious, hardcore adept, a practitioner, a baneful sorcery. That's what I'm doing. But at the same time, I want to do this for myself. I want to go the distance and I want to see, because the system that I work with and that of the kingdom of Satan, the infernal kingdom, work hand in hand as brethren and kindred spirits. So if that's the truth, let us begin. And that's going to begin January 1st. Because, like I said, in Yule, I've got something else going on. But also for the month of January, I've also got another spirit that I'm going to be working with. So that's going to be interesting to work with as well. So With that said, I hope this has been enlightening. I hope it's been educational. And whatever you preach, always back it up with numerous sources and always make yourself available to the public. Okay? You are responsible for the things that you say and do. All right? Have a good one. I'll keep you informed.